Reported by James Lee, the man himself. Total legend. Love this dude. Total homie. If you don't follow 5149 James Lee, you're doing it wrong. James is always crushing the reporting, constantly on the beat, putting out great videos. And here he reveals something very important for us to keep in mind.
Conspiracy theories are entering a dangerous...
Information is the oxygen of the democracy.
There's so much evidence out there that even if less than 1% is true, that would be enough to collapse the current paradigm and change the whole planet.
Broke later that afternoon.
So for the DC shooter's name, although I noticed that he didn't put in quotation marks, so it's his first and or his last name, in the District of Columbia, the morning of the shooting before it happened, there's this massive spike in search activity in the District of Columbia, specifically DC. And it dwarfs even the amount of searches for his name that happened after his name was announced, James is pointing out. It doesn't mean 100 searches, the number of searches. It means 100% of the highest number in this time frame. And then this is like, 20, this is like 33% as much as this. It's not directly telling you the number of searches.
Here's a screen recording that I took just to make sure the evidence is preserved, which, by the way, has already been wiped by Google. Of course, the question.
So, we have confirmation from a high-quality journalist, James Lee, who does his due diligence, who I trust deeply, I know personally, showing a screen recording of his data from a Google search trend result, and then showing that that same data has been wiped after the fact. This is the big question that I've had about the Google Trends data, that we've had lots of evidence that it's getting erased post-reporting. But I'd say that we pretty much now have some straight up confirmation that Google Trends data gets erased by someone after it becomes significant. Okay? And Google Trends data is not like some smoking gun. You can't pin down who searched it. You can't pin down how many searches. It's it is only what it is. But it is significant. And when you know how to use the platform well, you know what to search, when to search it, how to use your parameters, how to record the evidence effectively like James Lee did. It's a very important piece of evidence. And we now have confirmation that it can be erased post-reporting. And James just confirmed that. So, who's deleting it? They are probably at Google, right? They at least have to be sanctioned by Google. Google at least has to give them that back door. And they're doing it to protect narratives around these deep state psyops. So my first question is it juice related? Is it some juice box at Google that's doing it juice related? Or is it American CIA related in that regard, in this instance specifically? Or is it all just one big soup of assholes that are all here to give you the truth, the real American truth, and to counter all these Iranian psyops like yours truly? And I did see someone in the chat saying there's genocide going on in Sudan. You're absolutely right. It's atrocious. And we should do a whole stream about it at some point here. We're very late to the party on that reporting. It's been going on for far too long, and it has reached some truly horrific levels in Sudan. And when you learn about the genocide in Sudan, you inevitably learn about the corruption of the United Arab Emirates, UAE, the country where Dubai is located. And you learn why they have so much fucking gold. And you learn about the gold smuggling operations that the UAE is funding and supporting, that is basically funding this genocide, arming this genocide, and probably helping to cover it up too. And it's super fucking dark. We're not going to cover that today, but it is very real and it is very much happening. And it is largely Christians that are being killed. Brutally. Super brutally. And it is very relevant to the changing world order and to the next currency cycle and to what I believe is the plan of a large portion of the Arab states' chess move in the currency battle that's currently happening on the global stage for control over the next currency. It is true. It's better to be late to covering a topic than never. 100%. This is just a brief ground news piece. We're going to have some more ground news stuff in a little bit when we jump through a bunch of stories. So, suspect in National Guard attack struggled with, quote, dark isolation as community raised concerns. The mainstream media always coming in with the spin. Coming in with the spin.
Let's bring in Winston Marshall, former Mumford & Son band member and host of the Winston Marshall Show. So great to see you. Thank you for...
What? Mumford & Sons is bringing you the state propaganda now?
Joining us this evening. Real quickly, first off, just big picture. What are...
You notice how they use a celebrity? You notice how they use celebrities? But don't worry, no one controls Hollywood. They don't control Hollywood. No, sir. Just listen to your favorite band member telling you the news that you should believe. For sure.
Your overall views,
I'm sure he'll cite his sources.
Thoughts on what you've seen the last couple of days?
Yes, Charlie. Well, as America grieves.
Oh, and he's got an accent. He's got a great accent. He must know what he's talking about. He must have been there, if you know what I mean. Mum's the word.
Terrible murder of Sarah Beckstrom. I've been thinking about legal migration. And I put this to you, and it's often forgotten. There's a lot of talk about illegal immigration, but America is the most generous country in the world when it comes to legal migration. There is 1 million legal migrants into America every single year, and this murderer was one of them. Now,
I hope he's about to clarify what he's talking about here.
I bring this up, there's a lot of speculation about what the possible motive was. Was it political? Did he have mental illness?
Okay, he didn't bring it up. You should probably go watch a show from a Green Beret that served with these Afghani fighters, like Nate from Valhalla VFT, as well as many others that have spoken out loudly about what actually this guy was. He was a member of an elite Afghan fighting force that was vetted to the highest level for like 4 to 7 years of fighting alongside Americans to combat the Taliban. He was vetted by the CIA, by the DOD, by multiple agencies. He fought alongside Americans for years. He was a trusted individual. These are the kind of guys that fought alongside Nate in combat for years, that had his back, that slept with him, that shared food with him. Nate very clearly lays out that the unit that this man was a part of was not like some random Afghani that got led into the USA by accident. That is not who this was. This guy was agency affiliated through and through and put his life on the line and his family's lives on the line in a way that most Americans never even did. This was not just some random terrorist that slipped through the cracks. This guy was let in intentionally and for good reason. All the Green Berets talking about this, except for kind of Gary Melton, it would appear. Maybe I'm missing some of his reporting. They're all saying loudly, at risk of actually alienating part of their MAGA, base, saying that these guys are fucking legit and they damned well deserve to come home because they put their whole family's lives on the line. And many of them, like Nate, for example, tells the story of how his personal translator received the promise from the American government that if you work with us to fight the Taliban, then we will protect you and your family. And if shit goes sideways, we will get you out so they don't murder you. And Nate says that his personal translator, who received the exact same promise as this Lochinwall guy, the American government bailed on him and his entire family was murdered by the Taliban. Nate's personal translator. Despite these guys fighting alongside Green Berets, American Special Forces, for almost a decade. They were some of the most important combatants in the entire war on terror. And Lochinwall was in one of the most elite Afghani combat groups that there was, vetted for years and years. They knew who this guy was. They knew he was here, and he was here for some of the most justifiable reasons you could have. And so his involvement in this killing is very worth the suspicion. Maybe he was just fucking pissed off for broken promises. Maybe. But the actions he took don't make any sense. The way it all went down doesn't make any sense. So listen to Mumford & Sons, because they'll tell you everything you need to know, except for all the details and all the facts and all the expert analysis from people that actually know what the fuck they're talking about. Nah, let's get a singer to tell you what to believe about the news. But it's not just them. We got the Associated Press. We got the Hawaii Tribune Herald. We got Le Monde, because France will tell you. Let's just briefly check in here and see what they're saying. See what is the propaganda thing that we're supposed to believe now. Oh, maybe I clicked on Associated Press. I want to click on this. Suspect in National Guard attack struggled with dark isolation as community raised concerns. Because we need an explanation for why this dude did this, so dark isolation it is, I guess. He'd been unraveling for years. Unable to hold a job and flipping between long, lightless stretches of isolation and taking sudden, week-long cross-country drives. Could be. Maybe. But we're going to need some sources. Yeah, we're going to need some data. Yeah, we're going to need the files that the CIA had on this guy, tracking his every move, suspiciously, mysteriously, coincidentally, before this happened. And obviously that's a joke. Obviously the CIA would never be tracking a terrorist before they committed an act of terror. They would never have anything to do with that. They had no idea. He was on our radar. Yeah. So, I just want to shout out this great stream that Jesse on Fire did with Nate from Valhalla VFT about the DC National Guard shooting with Chris Paiota, ex-senior official at the FBI who's super based and is something of a whistleblower these days. He was a Fed, so little grains of salt all over the place. But really great stream. They do get pretty distracted from the actual issue at hand into all sorts of other interesting stuff. A lot about the withdrawal from Afghanistan. A lot about Nate's combat service in Afghanistan with these Afghani fighters. We're just going to play a really brief clip from it right now just to kind of give you a flavor of the spice. And I highly recommend that you subscribe to Jesse on Fire and to Valhalla VFT, Nate's channel.
And then you have India, Pakistan, in the Middle East, and that was it. That, to me, from what I saw from somebody that was, again, spent 9 months preparing and planning to facilitate the withdrawal, and then were turned off at the last minute for no reason and no explanation. That's what it seems like to me, is that he just wanted he thought it was going to be this great political win, and it all crashed and burned in front of our faces.
What did that feel like? What did that feel like for your team? You had asked how a KSF man who has been vetted at the highest level, fought alongside Americans for 10 years, drives all the way across country, kills a member of the National Guard. Wait, you had asked?
Is there more to that?
Oh, here we go. How about because a CIA handler threatened him and his family if he didn't, as this is a false flag or for a coup or the color.
So a lot of my buddies, fellow Green Berets, brought that up as a potential when you're talking about a source like that. There's possibility in that. Again, I don't know. The CIA high side stuff, man, that's a lot sketchier than what I dealt with. We were pretty straightforward, even at the Green Beret level of, not doing shit like that. But
this is why it's important to get expert analysis from dudes that have actually been there, because this shit's complicated and that you don't know how it works. If you've not been there, you don't know how it works. And still, you get a censored version of it. Nate can't talk about everything, but he's super based. And he's definitely aware of the juice. He's definitely aware of the high C up there.
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past, that type of situation where if the CIA decides, hey, we need this to happen and we're going to threaten them. But I don't know, man. Again, anytime the CIA is involved, my eyebrows raise. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what this is. There's no guarantee this was some false flag. I will say the timing and the context of the attack are very, very suspicious to me right now, with, again, all the Islamophobia drummed up from Zohran Mamdani winning and Dearborn and all these things. And all of a sudden, after no terrorist attack since the Boston bombing, for the most part, all of a sudden this gets carried out. But
yeah. So what happens next? I can't help but notice. I'm surprised that no one else is talking about this. Trump is pushing for National Guard in all the cities, right? But they're walking around unarmed. How long do you think the National Guard walking around in these cities are going to be unarmed for? I can't help but wonder if this isn't going to become a push for, we need the National Guard to be armed while they walk around and patrol your cities. For their own safety. Because terrorists are killing them. And then when you are protesting, bummer, they're carrying guns now. Right? Because the powers that be, the Zog, they know that protests are coming. They know that America ain't standing for this shit. And I wouldn't be surprised if they want us to revolt and want us to incite a little civil war sort of situation. Can't think of a better way to weaken America, sow division, create chaos, than to have the Zog being exposed, the people protesting, the National Guard walking around with guns. And Nate called it. Nate called it months ago, multiple times, that when Trump started deploying the National Guard, he said that he was worried that one of them was going to get killed. Something was going to happen, and one of them was going to get killed, and it's going to set precedent for more clampdown, more National Guard deployment, more weaponization, more militarization of our cities. And here we are. He was right. Nate has been consistently right on a whole bunch of these things, hence why his following is growing so much, and hence why he's such a great channel.
That would be enough to collapse the current paradigm and change the whole planet.